There's a great book I picked up in the library this last time I was in America. The book is called Atomic Habits. I actually went to a librarian asking, can you please tell me what are the best books that have been picked up lately in the library? What's going the most? And she gave me about 10 books, but she said, out of all these 10 books, the book that's going most is Atomic Habits. And reading through the book, I found something interesting about habits. In the book, he writes that if you want to be able to implement the habit, it's not enough just to say that I want to start a new habit or I want to stop an old habit, but you need to also be able to say that this is the new me. It's not enough to say I quit smoking. It's enough to you have to say I'm not a smoker. The identity is a crucial part of changing yourself. You can't just change your habits. You got to also change your identity. Where do we find in the Torah this concept that the identity is crucial in your life decisions? The identity is crucial in how you're looked at, how you're judged, the way you're going to behave, and it's going to have a ripple effect on all your actions that you do. I was blown away on Shabbat. I was reading about Yosef versus Moshe Rabbeinu. Yosef, his bones, the Jewish people gave him the promise that they're going to take all the bones of Yosef and bring them to Eretz Yisrael to bury them in Eretz Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the one who took upon himself to do this mitzvah. He took the bones of Yosef, and he was the one who was in charge to make sure that it was taken with him to Eretz Yisrael to bury in Eretz Yisrael in Shechem. At the same time, Moshe Rabbeinu himself didn't get a chance to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. We know the reasons. One reason is what the Torah itself says is because Moshe Rabbeinu, when he hit the rock, so he did differently than Hashem commanded him to. Hashem said to him to speak to the rock, and he hit it instead. And on that, the pasuk says, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, "Ya'an asher lo hamantem bi la'akdishani," because you didn't trust in me to sanctify me, you're not going to be able to go into the land of Israel. And because Aaron didn't also stop Moshe Rabbeinu from hitting it, he also had to be punished. He couldn't go into the land of Israel. We find earlier in the Torah that the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu questioned God when Hashem told him to take the Jews out of Egypt, and Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was seeing that by going to Paro was just causing more and more complications for the Jewish people, he asked God, Lama ra'ota la'am hazeh, lama zeh shelahtani. Why did you do bad to this people? Why did you send me? And because he asked God that question of why, he challenged God. Hashem said, you're not going to the land of Israel. Those are the two reasons we know mostly of why Hashem didn't let Moshe Rabbeinu go to the land of Israel. This week I saw a new Midrash. The Midrash tells us the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't go to the land of Israel was an identity issue. Yosef, when he came down to Egypt, and he got into trouble with the wife of Potiphar, the words that she said about Yosef was that they brought to us a Jewish lad, a Nar Ivri, to start up with me, to play around with us in Egypt. And when the Sar HaMashkim, the one who's in charge of the butler, the one in charge of pouring the wine in the Paro's goblet, when he came to tell Paro that there's this Jewish boy who knows how to interpret dreams, the way he said it was that I found a Nar Ivri, a Jewish lad, in the jail that was able to interpret my dream. But when we find by Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came to save the daughters of Yitro by the well, the words that are used there when Yitro's daughters, when they tell their father Yitro that there was a boy who saved us, a man who saved us, an 80-year-old man who saved us, the words that are used over there is Ish Mitzri. Moshe is an Egyptian man. Because Moshe Rabbeinu identified with the Egyptian man, he didn't correct them. So that's why he has to deal with the fact that he can't be going to the land of Israel. On the other hand, Yosef, who identified himself as a Ishnar Ivri, he was going to go to the land of Israel. So now, why is identity such a big issue? The answer is because it has ripple effects. If you identify yourself as a American Jew, It's not the same as you identify yourself as a Ben Sion, a child of Sion, a person who's connected to Yerushalayim. Bezat Hashem, we should all identify ourselves with Yerushalayim and get a chance to come back to Eretz Yisrael, to live here before Mashiach comes, and they should come very, very soon. Thank you for listening.